There you go. You can't be scared. Just roll with it.
I'm down.
That's what I'm talking about. Hell yeah. So you doing good.
Pick it up again. Come on down. Come on down.
Help!
Come down with it.
I can't! Help!
I can't.
Come down.
Come down. Just keep coming down.
It won't!
Oh, wait, I'm in the way. All right, come down.
I'm begging you! Somebody come!
Come down. You gotta come down.
I can't! The machine's not moving!
We in the
Man, I
way.
don't know how to work the machine.
You need to go down. You need to go down.
Please, somebody! Please, somebody!
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. Oh my God, I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. I just love that clip. It makes me laugh so hard. What's up, Dad Bod Baboon, Quest Fanning, Richard Bell, John and KC, Caleb Vanderfelt, Bruce Burtwhistle, Brad Beckman for Liberty, Andy Opperman. What is shaking? T-Mill 22, Southcott, Injam, Grizz, Cheese even? Gosh, darn it. Everybody who counts is already here. Welcome to the show, guys. Floby. Black fatigue, what it means and why it's stirring up trouble. We're talking about that on the Wake Up America show today. We're going to talk about a book that was written back in 2020. It's called Black Fatigue, How Racism Erodes the Mind, Body, and Spirit. It is what you would think it was. But now there's a new definition of black fatigue that is making the rounds. A new definition that's stirring some controversy, frustration with perceived ratchet or entitled behavior in black communities. That's the new definition that people are using it as. When I say new, we're talking about new. This is brand spanking new. This is fresh, hot off the presses. If you're listening to the Wake Up America show this morning, not only are you going to hear a discussion about a topic that is underground now, but will be mainstream. They will be talking about it in the mainstream news networks either this week or next week, maybe 2 weeks from now, maybe too hot to touch until enough people have done this story. But you will hear it today on the Wake Up America show before you will hear it on many, many other networks. I'm not the first to get to it in the world, but this is a trend that has been blowing up in the last couple of weeks on my feed. And the thing that's been so surprising about this is that so many of these recommended videos in my feeds have been of black people talking about black fatigue. And this is interesting to me. When I search the internet, you know that something's new and big and interesting when you can find lots of YouTubers, maybe, some of them with bigger followings even than I do, but maybe they don't have still that kind of mainstream flavor yet. They haven't sort of done some of the big mainstream stuff. I say mainstream, but we'll call it what it is, like kind of legacy media networks. And it's still an established, we talk about the legacy media because it's still an established power here in the United States. I've got a fascinating story as well about the Washington Post columnist, former, I guess, Jonathan Capeheart, who quit the editorial board over a dispute that he had with a white colleague saying that she was robbing him of his humanity. Folks, listen. Let's just get the accusations out of the way. Racists! Ugh, oh, no! You be the judge. If you think by the end of this show that I'm a racist, if you think I'm racist just for talking about this subject, then probably you're the problem, right? But if after a good hearing out of the issues today, and my point of view, my reaction to some of the videos we're going to watch today, then you be the judge. But do what Camelia did when she watched the Jordan Peterson interview. Was she with the 28 Jordan Peterson versus 20 atheists? She watched the whole thing. Let's give it up for Camelia. She saw it all in context. If you missed my discussion with Camelia about the Jordan Peterson interview from yesterday, well, then you really need to go back and rewind and watch that one, guys. And support the Wake Up America show like Quest Fanning does. Drop those Rumble rants to get the bonus content unlocked. So we're going to have a great show today. We're going to have a lot of fun, and it's going to be worth the $75 to unlock the bonus content, which is also fun and really awesome and amazing. A mini documentary produced exclusively for you, exclusively for today, in a Lego featured style. You want to unlock the bonus content to see the mini documentary. You don't get to see it otherwise. It goes away forever. It's like a daily thing that we do to try to entice you to support the Wake Up America show, because wouldn't you like to see the Wake Up America show be here next year? We're like working on 3 years now, coming up on our 3 anniversary. Click like. If today's your first time watching the show, click follow. We're going to have fascinating discussions. We're going to talk with the chat. You guys are going to have a voice. You can have a louder voice, and guarantee that I'll see what you want me to see you say if you send us a text at 573-319-1586. The text line is always up on the screen if you're watching the live show. If you're listening to the audio version later, I'm using a classic Glenn Beck technique of marketing, which is to say the thing 3 times if I really want you to remember it, which is to text us at 573-319-1586. And those who are watching the show are like, hey, I can just see it on the screen. But the audio listeners later want to hear the number again, 573-319-1586. Text it in, and then you could just text me any day. Just go back to text message. Program me into your phone. I'm AP. I'm the Liberty Lover. AP for Liberty. Austin Peterson, the Ninja, the Freedom Ninja. We're going to be talking about ninjas today. Austin, be careful now. Be careful. We'll send the bad man to your house. It's freedom of speech is still legal in the United States, is it not? Or not? They're coming to take me away. Ha-ha. They're coming to take me away. Hoo-hoo. Ha-ha. Hey, hey, to the funny farm where life is beautiful all the time. Descendant 90. What's up, brothers? Today your first time in the chat? Give it up for Descendant. We love seeing new names and faces. Drop some comments in the Rumble chat if you have not been introduced to the family. We are a freedom family. And today is not Freedom Family Friday, but Friday is. And Friday we bring out my family, which is my real family, my legitimate family. But you guys are my illegitimate bastard family. You're bastard people. I'm just going to go home and bite my pillow is what I'm going to do. Black fatigue. What it is, what people are saying, where it's coming from, why you're hearing it here first before you're hearing the discussions about this. Anywhere in the legacy media or maybe even bigger podcasters than myself that are going to pick this up. Once they feel like, oh, hot potato, can we talk about it? Oh, yeah, let's just go copy the segment that the influencer that I watch that I don't give credit to and then do my big news segment just copying what the influencer is doing. If you like my shirt, you can get that at forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com. Get one and help to unlock that bonus content. Judge Napolitano is going to be on the show today. It's going to be awesome. You're awesome. One time after producing a show for the judge, I was leaving Fox News and I was walking right behind Glenn Beck. And we were about to go out on the street. And I saw this guy who was obviously from like Missouri. And like I am, Jefferson City, give it up, Missouri. Whoop, whoop. They go, whoop. Missouri, and I'm walking behind Glenn Beck, and I see this guy there, and he just looks so out of place. It was so funny. Sometimes you see like the farmers there coming into New York City, right? And they've got like overalls and stuff like that, and you're just like, oh man, those are the kind of people who hang out where I live in Jefferson City now. But I see Glenn walking down the street, and I see this kind of like country looking guy, and he just looks at Glenn, and he goes, Glenn Beck. And Glenn looks at him and is like, yes, hello. And the guy's like, you're awesome. And Glenn's like, thank you. And leaves. And I don't know why. I think it's funny. I just was like, that guy just had his day made. He got to go home and tell everybody at home that he saw Glenn Beck, who was on 5 p.m. at that time back in the days. This is like 2010. God, Tea Party years, man. I've been in this a long time. Black fatigue. I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that. No, see, that is not an example of black fatigue. That's Americans, there are parts of black culture that I think most Americans love and want replicated and want more of. I mean, we'll talk about black fatigue. We've had a black president in this country, and I know most of the people who are on my side of the spectrum are going to be like, blah, 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 we hate the Obamas, Michelle Obama, and all that kind of stuff. Let's be honest. You'd rather have Michelle Obama and Barack Obama probably living next door to you than some of the people that we're going to be watching these videos. And you're going to hear some really spicy takes today. And I don't know, me playing these clips or videos, you could say, point a finger at Austin. Well, Austin, this is you. You choose the clips that you want to play. Okay, fair enough. But I'm also playing the reaction videos that black people are making to these videos. And I'm using them to have an actual, what I think is a productive discussion. Can we not have productive discussions about race or ethnicity or culture or religion in this country? The Wake Up America show, we don't pull any punches here. We talk about the issues from the deep, dark, dirty side. We confront ideas, sometimes things that are uncomfortable, even myself. You know me, I'm willing to not confirm my biases and hear ideas and listen to ideas that I may not agree with at first, but it's the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it, right? Can we be a little bit more Aristotelian? We're going to play some clips. We're going to talk about black fatigue. We're going to have a fantastic show today. We're going to have Judge Napolitano. Is Donald Trump trying to kill Harvard? I think many of you might say, yay, absolutely, and it's lovely and it's wonderful. I think the judge is probably not going to be pleased. Maybe not with the manner in which Trump is litigating against Harvard, but I have to say that Harvard has been discriminating, speaking of minority issues, Harvard has been discriminating against white people for years. Yeah, I said it. Higher education universities have been doing this for years. It has been known that if you were a white male and you were trying to get into some special program, whether it be an education, whether it be a government job, whether it be a job at work, at businesses, corporations that I'm going at, it is open discrimination. The funny thing about discrimination in the United States, you sign documents, right? When you join certain corporations, take certain jobs, you will sign documents that will be like affirmative action statements, essentially, that you have to agree to. If you want to take the job, you agree you will not, especially if you're in a hiring position or something, you will not discriminate, blah, blah, blah. But what it's understood is that you will discriminate. You will discriminate. You will choose minorities. If you've got three people, a white man, a white woman, and a black man, you hire them in this order. You hire the black man first, the white woman second, and the white male last. And it's got to stop. It's bullshit. Frankly, it's bullshit. And we know it's bullshit. And we lie, and we're forced to lie. And we're forced to act in this country as if there isn't open racial discrimination against the white majority in this country. There absolutely is. But I don't think the answer to this, of course, is to join Nick Fuentes and the Groyptards and to become a conspiracy theory socialist and to believe that, Adolf Hitler, maybe he had a good ideas until you go so far to whatever you consider the right to be now that you're holding hands with Bernie Sanders in a full horseshoe maneuver. And now you're like, oh, wow, Bernie, not only do I kind of agree with you on the issues of identitarianism, but I also agree with you on issues like markets and tariffs. It's no. Let's keep the banner pointed high, raise high in the air, and let's raise it for liberty. Let's raise it for individualism over collectivism. Let's raise it for, let's raise our banners, raise our spears against the cult of the omnipotent state. I reject fully and totally the cult of the omnipotent state, and I have sworn on the altar of God, as some have said, eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man. All who have died, all who have lived have died, but not all who have died have ever really lived. And everybody's got to whip out the quotes today. Let's raise our spears for all the ladies out there. No! Dad bod.
No, God, please, no.
It's only for my wifey. Send us a text at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586.
White people are tired of being called racist for simply existing. And honestly, I don't blame them.
Thank you.
Sometimes I'll see videos pop up online of minorities acting wild on cruise ships. And I'll see in the comment section other minorities typing and commenting saying, this is not how we all act. This is so embarrassing, because they realize how damaging and destructive it is to view the bad actions of one member of a racial group as representative of the entire whole. But then in the same breath, many of those same people will then turn around and say, oh, all white people are racist, offering no context whatsoever. Now, there was a point in time in American history when black people were treated unfairly. And of course, we acknowledge that was wrong. But just because that was wrong does not give us the right to also be wrong now in the way we treat other people. And it frustrates people who are white, because no matter what they do, they are always going to be viewed by these kinds of minorities as if they are racist, regardless of any facts or proof whatsoever.
There we go.
It's destructive to our social fabric. This mentality needs to stop. It's tiresome to honestly all parties involved at the end of the day. And we need to get back to judging people based on their character, their individual character alone, instead of trying to paint with a broad brush everyone as being X or Y, when we know things are far more nuanced than that. So those are my thoughts, and I'm curious what yours might be.
This is a country. Beautiful explanation, sir. This is a country that respects the rights of minorities, but what most people don't understand is that when you respect individual rights, you're respecting everyone's rights. If you the smallest minority on earth is the individual. Thank you, Ayn Rand. Man, talk about quoting Jefferson this morning. We're quoting Ayn Rand. Boy, have you ever come to the right place. Super Stitch says, I adore racism. Racism is normal, everyday, factual shit. No. We are going to, I'm with this guy who just said that we're for individualism. We should look at people as individuals on their individual behavior. That said, stereotypes do exist for a reason. I will acknowledge that, just like some of the people in this video.
Let's talk about Shiloh Hendricks, the woman who called a 5-year-old a racial slur. My first impression after watching the video, a little bit of white trash. I have to be honest, the kid was 5. I have worked with 5-year-olds for the last 15 years. Absolutely everything they do is out of pocket. They're like little unhinged drunk people. Nothing they do makes sense. A 5-year-old is capable of rifling through somebody's bag and taking things that don't belong to them. Ask any kindergarten teacher. But I realize why so many people are wanting to defend this, because Black fatigue is real. I think society as a whole is there. We are just so unbelievably fed up with the ghetto ratchet behavior, entitlement, the victimhood, that they want to praise this woman. But what she did is not praiseworthy. But also on the same hand, please remember that every day that us white people get on this app, we get called racial slurs.
If you don't, yeah, exactly. If you don't know who Shiloh Hendricks is a woman, kind of like a white trash chick who was on a playground. She had a little boy who was black, who was 5 years old, rifling through her purse. She was being recorded by another minority, but I think he was Somalian, was recording her. And she called either the child or the man the N-word, right? And then she raised $1 million in a GoFundMe fashion. It's a website called Give, Send, Go. And because she said the N-word. And that's why, and people, of course, but it was more than just the fact that she had the guts to say it. I mean, honestly, the type of, she looks like the type of woman says it all the time, right? In casual conversation, just drops it. But nevertheless, it wasn't just because she had said it. She was also unapologetic. She was also reacting to being harassed by the cameraman. She was also seen in many ways because she didn't back down, and she didn't go on social media and make an ass of herself like Tiffany Gomez or become like an influencer or something. she collected $1 million because of black fatigue, because people are tired of being harassed by minorities in the country where they are a majority population, and they're sick and tired of it. And so they're going to lash out. They're going to act out. Not everybody's going to be as articulate as the black man we just heard from a few minutes ago. Most people are just going to fling epithets at each other. And you know what? There's a lot of just pent up rage because white people have been tolerating to a large extent the behavior of unruly minorities in this country where they are a majority for decades now, in the name of tolerance, in the name of respect, and the fear of losing their jobs, being canceled. Like, you don't understand. After I say things like this, or I have these kinds of conversations, you know, they don't hire people like me to go and do, I don't know, some corporate job somewhere where you've got to be just completely diplomatic about everything and you don't have a political view about things like this. People are sick and tired of not being able to have conversations like the ones we are having right here, right now on the Wake Up America show.
Every single day. So if you don't want to be called a racial slur, you also have to stop calling people racial slurs.
Yeah.
You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth.
Hey guys, my name is Modi and you are welcome to Modi Speaks. So it is
Hey guys,
finally...
my name is Modi and you are welcome to Modi Speaks. Gotta love that accent. So this young lady here was the one who introduced me to the concept of black fatigue. And she's this influencer. Her name's Modi. I actually reached out to her. I'm hoping to get her on my show as well. So this is her reaction video. And so I will recommend her because she's a great follow. Modi Speaks, M-O-D-Y Speaks. And thank you for the video, Modi, and for playing these videos. I want to credit her appropriately because I have been watching her videos. And she has some great takes on this.
With the whole situation. Well, it turns out that that time is fast approaching. People are fed up with it all and they are now vocally speaking out about their black fatigue.
Blackness fatigue is setting in.
First of all, Wild Bill looks scary as hell and not the kind of guy that he looks like the kind of guy that'd be packing heat. Don't mess with Wild Bill.
America is exhausted from dealing with the never-ending complaints and ingratitude of the black community. Black racism against whites and Asians has reached violent proportions.
I like that he says Asians because, and I don't know when Wild Bill recorded this video, but I like that he said whites and Asians because, and Jews now, but Asians were being targeted by the black community during COVID-19, the 2020 BLM riots. If anybody remembers, and then remember the whole bullshit hoax that some of these lefty Asians in places like San Francisco were doing, that they were trying to say it was white supremacy, is the rash of recent violent attacks, which, by the way, were all being caught on video. And I was reporting on all of this that was going on back in 2020, 2021 or whatever, the BLM race riots. But they were specifically attacking Asians, and then the leftist Asian community was trying to say, oh, it was because of white supremacy. Right? This is the kind of bullshit that leads to Wild Bill for Americans.
And with the help and funding of the Democrat Party, militant black racism.
It's important to remind people that this racial animus, this race hatred in this country is being stirred up deliberately by the Democratic Party and funded by the Democratic Party, Act Blue, and their associates.
Is getting worse. Well, here's a Wild Bill.
I like the way that he's holding on to that mug. Maybe I'll try that for my thermos. Let me see here.
A bullet of truth for America. White Americans are the least racist people in the USA, probably the whole world. We have been non-racist for the last 50 years, but today the Democrat Party is using racism as a political weapon. And white America is exhausted from dealing with blackness that has been coming against them day after day for years. White Americans who have never had a racist thought in their lives are tired of being constantly accused of racism. They're tired of being told that every problem in the black community is the fault of white people, that the massive failures of black cities and neighborhoods and families is our fault. This week, some fruitcake politician declared that blacks violently...
What did you just say? What did he say? What did he say? If you guys enjoyed the show this morning, make sure you click that like button. Robbie Thurman's over there in the chat saying that I got to brag for a little bit. Tony Moon, one of the original Roof Koreans, followed me on Twitter. Oh, so jelly. Rooftop Korea. Rooftop Korea is best Korea.
A politician declared that blacks...
He calls a fruitcake politician. You guys got to go Wild Bill. You throw some hearts in the chat. Throw some comments. Some hearts, some love for Wild Bill for America. If you're in the Rumble chat, go in there. Just type a little, give us a little love, a little hat for Wild Bill. Give us like a cowboy hat. Yeehaw for Wild Bill.
This week, some fruitcake politician declared that blacks violently attacking Asians is caused by white people. No matter what white people do or say, they are slandered as villains by blacks who are determined to punish white Americans simply for being white. They are unappeasable. Now, millions of immigrants came here from England, Poland, Italy, South America, Vietnam, Russia. They came from all around the world, and they were dirt poor when they arrived. But they worked hard and became successful and rich and well-adjusted citizens. So why is it that the African community has remained in poverty for 150 years? We built nice new apartment buildings that quickly became high-crime ghettos. Want to get an education on what's happening in Black America? Get on the internet and type in brawls. Restaurant brawls, shopping center brawls, fast food brawls, and look at what you see in those videos. It's not the Germans or the Italians who are turning public places into savage mass fistfights. And it's not the Australians who are walking the streets looking to beat the hell out of some pedestrian simply for having white skin. And it's not the Vietnamese who are burning and looting American cities. And it's not the Russians who are fighting with and sometimes killing our police officers. But there are, of course, honorable and respectable men like Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas and Dr. Ben Carson. These men are extremely successful and at the pinnacle of their possessions, but for some inexplicable reason, they are hated and ridiculed by the black community as if their success is somehow a betrayal of their race. Men like Carson and Thomas should be held up as role models and emulated, not hated and criticized. America is suffering from blackness fatigue, and that fatigue is slowly but surely becoming a boiling rage. Even the friendliest dog will bite if you kick him long enough, and that is where white America is today. There's a showdown coming. There is no more that we can give. We're done apologizing for imaginary violations, and we're done surrendering to black racism. There's a showdown coming, and it's going to get ugly.
I do not want to be on the opposite side of Wild Bill, I will say, on whatever that showdown may look like. Sup, feckers? Thank you, T-Mail22, for the Rumble rant, as well as BB for Liberty, 2468. Who do we appreciate? You. We've raised like $12 towards the $75 goal. Honestly, that's pretty darn good for the first half hour of the Wake Up America show, getting us started. All we got to do is hit $75 to unlock the bonus content. And you can do that either with Rumble Rants directly, which are great, or you can go to forlibertyshop.com. That's our number 4libertyshop.com and buy a box of Founding Flavors coffee or any of our other fine products. Listen, it's time to get patriotic, guys. It's time for you to visit forlibertyshop.com and notice this. Listen, if you've got a lady in your life, gentlemen, and I know it's probably mostly dudes watching the show this morning, but the ladies, of course, are the ones who tend to buy them more. However, I sometimes struggle with what should I get my girl for this or that. I know Father's Day is coming, so you're expecting, but these our earrings over at the shop, our patriotic earring collections, you cannot find things like this anywhere else, almost anywhere else in the world. And here's why. Where else, if you've got a girl that's a chick who's into Bitcoin, send her the Bitcoin stud earrings, and she'll think you are a stud and will want your stud. All 2.5 inches. My wife loves Rosie the Riveter. Chicks dig it. Redheaded girls, I love them. Supreme, Norma Jean. Goodbye, Norma Jean, though I never see you again. There's that melons found in the nude, and it seems to me I live my life. Okay, shut up, Elton John. Waving American flag earrings. These are super hot. Eagle stud earrings. Here's the thing. They're made out of wood. They're wood carved, and they're cute. They're small. Live free. I mean, what a beautiful set of earrings to send to a girl to wear to her conference. American Shield stud earrings. The Don't Tread on Me snake earrings. Look at all the 5-star reviews for the earrings. These are the kinds of things like, oh, you want to go to the diamond store, the jewelry store, and get your wife like just a fun little cute gift, like kind of like a stocking stuffer, like sized gift. You will not find these at the local market. You can go to the hippie fairs, and they're not going to have these earrings. Donald Trump earrings, we sell some of those as well. Cowgirl, Western pistol. Some of the guys, I've got a pierced ear. I just don't wear my earring anymore. But if I would, then I might just get one of these pistol earrings just for fun and just for laughs. You know, you're going to show up to a party. I'm going to wear the Cowgirl Western pistol earrings. Hell yeah, why not? Not everybody's a fan of the Republican Party these days, but at least they are a fan. For those who are, we do have 5-star reviews for those. And for my Missouri friends, you must have a woman in your life who would love to get a pair of Missouri State earrings. The Bomb Pop, especially for the 4th of July. If you show up to the 4th of July party and you give your girl these before you show up to the 4th of July party, you're going to get instant, Guys, don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Be a smarty. Come and join the Nazi party. Just kidding. Heil myself. Heil to me. I just went up to the search at the shop and typed in earring. Fish bones, necklace, and earring set. That's a little more pricey. It's a whole set. The unconditional surrender ornament, for some reason, that's in the earring there. We'll have to fix that. Bullet tassel earrings. Consider yourself blessed, child, if you get a pair of bullet tassel earrings. When you show them off, yes, the end of them are the primer there for the bullet. Only at forlibertyshop.com. Type in earrings in the search. Support the Wake Up America show. I'm the kraut that's out to change our history. Heil myself. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson, and we're having a blast today. If you haven't clicked the like button already, please do so. We're talking about black fatigue. I'm playing clips of people discussing what it is, what it isn't, what they feel about it, and how maybe you could tell me how you feel about it.
Let's go ahead and talk about black fatigue. I know you've all seen the videos just like I've seen them, and it's definitely a real thing, but I really don't think that it's black fatigue. I think that it's ghetto fatigue, ignorance fatigue, hood fatigue. You've seen them. Bonnets and PJs, pants half off their arse. And they bring with them a certain demeanor.
I'm sorry, but if you say arse, I immediately believe everything that you... If you say arse in a non-joking way with the actual accent, you say arse, you have to believe everything that they say. Look at that. He's even got the beautiful green patty hat. Oh, arse is your arse. Hold on. Start this gentleman again, I guess. I want to hear this sup feckers.
There's a showdown coming.
Watch out for WAPO.
And it's going to get ugly.
Sup, f***ers? Let's go ahead and talk about black fatigue. I know you've all seen the videos just like I've seen them, and it's definitely a real thing, but I really don't think that it's black fatigue. I think that it's
a real thing.
Ghetto fatigue, ignorance fatigue, hood fatigue. You've seen them. Bonnets and PJs, pants half off their arse, and they bring with them a certain demeanor that you just want fuck all to do with. You could literally point them out in a crowd. You know they're going to be loud and obnoxious. They're going to instigate shit for damn near no f***ing reason. They want to make sure that the world knows exactly who they are, and then take zero accountability for the way that they're being. When they have every opportunity to not be that way. And when they're not being that way, they're setting the example of how society likes things. Calm, peaceful, chill, not fucking ratchet. And this ain't a color thing either. It's a culture thing. Because you see tons of black people who are productive members of society. They have wonderful jobs. They have beautiful families. They're doing everything being peaceful with everyone else. And unfortunately, they don't get as much attention as the ratchet mother. And a lot of them keep asking the question, why the f*** are you people like this? Look what you're doing to our race, to our demographic. Why can't you be like us who chose to be better? And God, they get shit for it and called names and attacked for what? For what? They get called names like fucking Uncle Toms and sellouts and all this other shit. Because they're just simply making the choice to be productive in society and peaceful with other people of different races. What is so bad about that?
Yeah.
You're turning your back on your people. The same people who shot at me. Steal everything that I work hard for and buy. Harass and assault my family members. Because if you're talking about those who infringe on my peace and my safety, yes, I absolutely turn my back on them.
black fatigue.
There we go. Nelson just sent me a message, by the way. Our buddy Nelson. What's up, Nelson? Hackers, kunts. He said that just this morning that his feed is now flooded with discussions of black fatigue, and I can't watch the video that you sent just yet, Nelson. I will try and watch it here in a little bit. Thank you to Joel Ledamore, who just went and bought a beautiful pair of waving flag American earrings from ForLibertyShop.com. That puts us right around $40, I think, or so for the bonus content. I love that we unlock it every day, guys, because honestly, sometimes I'm like scared. I'm always like, is the Wake Up America show going to be here next year? Are we going to make it another year? So every time we're hitting that bonus content goal each day, it makes me feel good. Go to my wife, my sweet redheaded wife. I'm like, baby, yeah, we get to work from home and be with our family and all that. And by the way, fiber is coming. It's here. It's right there behind my window. They're going to install it this Friday. We're going to have full, right now we're in 720p. We're going to be in full beautiful HD. You get to see my beautiful man boobs. Oh, you're the best around. Upgrades, 1080p next week. Nothing's gonna ever keep. The guy's gonna have to bow to your sensei on this one. Bow to your sensei. Bow to your sensei. Andy Opperman says, with a $10 Rumble rant, thank you, sir, says, I have been making the culture point in racism conversation for years now. Poor behavior deserves discrimination. In fact, the market demands it. Absolutely. Beautiful. Thank you, Andy. You're the best. Ooh, around. Pooh. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down. So this conversation about black fatigue, it's happening because, in part, I think Nelson's feed is getting flooded this morning because they are going to try and gaslight us. They're going the legacy media, the left, the Democratic Party. Now that black fatigue is starting to pop up in your feeds, the left is immediately going to start to try to define it as this woman defined it in the year 2020 with her book, Black Fatigue. I've got a clip of a black man on a ABC, local ABC affiliate doing his show where he was talking about black fatigue, and he has a woman on, I think, who wrote the book. She defines it there. Let me just pull this up because I did this research for you guys. I might as well pull it up. Mary Frances Winters' 2020 book. It's called Black Fatigue, How Racism Erodes the Mind, Body, and Spirit. And this is how she defines it, right? Not as like it's been defined in the videos that we've been watching and talking about and we're going to play more of. But she defines it as chronic stress from centuries of racism causing physical, mental, and spiritual exhaustion in black people passed down generations. So in other words, her black fatigue is that the black people are feeling fatigued because they've had to put up with racism and slavery and all this kind of stuff for the last, forever. Passed down. So she cites a 2020 American Heart Association report that links racism-based stress to high blood pressure, heart disease, and depression. Jumaine D. Williams says, I'm tired of racism during an emotional press conference. Boy, are we all tired of it, bud. Winters' stance was that exhaustion comes from racism, not from being black, but she calls for white anti-racist allies to fix the system. No, thank you. Spears up for fiber. Judge Napolitano joining us here live in 15 minutes. Make sure that you stick around for him and a discussion about all this and more. Is Donald Trump trying to kill Harvard? Should he? We'll talk about that with the judge at 8 a.m. Central Time. It's now 7:45 a.m. Central. Remember that we will have commercials if we do not hit the bonus content level. So, guys, just go get the earrings now. You know you need to get a gift for your lady for whatever reason. You got to hold it for later because it doesn't cost much. It's like $25, including shipping. So if you go to ForLibertyShop.com right now in like the next 10, 15 minutes, you'll unlock the bonus content. Then you can watch that instead of commercials. When the judge comes up, we're going to have an amazing show today, guys. Let's do it. Let's just unlock it. You know you're going to need a gift for your lady friend at some point in time. So just get the earrings, stash them away. Go to ForLibertyShop.com right now. Type in earrings in the search. Pick out the earrings that you like the best, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 pair, right? And then everybody wins. You will have the gift. Sometimes you're going to forget an anniversary, guys. You're going to forget Like the first time that we did, butt stuff, whatever. You guys are libertarians. I know you guys have some weird stuff right now. I don't want to outlaw. So just go get the earrings right now.
It's all over my FYP page. Thank you.
It's all over a 4UP or something. I don't do TikTok. So, it's all over my 4U page, I guess. This is talking about black fatigue, and it's all in our feeds.
I am so happy that this is being brought up. And oh, by the way, for us white people that have been around the block a long time, this isn't new to us. We've been dealing with this for over 40 years. Here's my story. This is about 2015. I'm at Putin Bay. Putin Bay's on South Bass Island in Lake Erie. There's a bunch of bars out there. It's a great place for adults to go play. Think of Pat Daly, Mad Dog Adams. If you don't know those guys, think of Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah, I didn't know those guys.
I'm sitting on a bench on Delaware waiting for my wife, who's in a shop shopping. And at the time, the traffic is two ways. And I think I witnessed why it is no longer two ways. It's a Saturday afternoon. The island is packed. The traffic is bumper to bumper. These two guys going in opposite directions decide to stop and have a chat. Not for a couple seconds, not for a couple minutes, but I think it was around 10 minutes before people started to threaten them.
Can you imagine, like, you're trying to, I don't know if you've ever done like an island vacation or something like that, where you have to like cross a bridge, or there's like, there's only one way to get to the island or something, and then everybody's trying to get there for the weekend, and then you've got like, two-way traffic. These two men, and he didn't even say they were black, right? But it's about black fatigue, so you assume. But you've got these two cars, and they're just sitting there talking for 10 minutes or holding up everybody on there. And you can't say that they didn't know. They're definitely, they're not that stupid. That's a malicious act upon the community.
But around the 5-minute mark, I'm just
very antisocial.
Sitting there with my arms folded, just shaking my head. And I hear this voice. This is what's holding us back. This is why we're hated. And I turned around to see who had said it, and it was a black couple about my age. And then he looked directly at me and said, 30 years ago, I'd go down there, grab those idiots by their dreadlocks, and teach them a lesson their fathers never did.
Well, what's stopping you now?
And I looked at him and went, 30 years ago, I'd have been right there with you. I have hated this type of behavior my entire life.
And then he would have got the fire hose and canceled, and his career was over, and there would be 60 Minutes episodes. The NFL would wear a big freaking stupid ribbon.
Gotten it. How self-centered do you have to be to have no respect for any other human being? It's all about you. Yeah. These are the people I've spent my life avoiding. But I had never thought about it from the black community side. And I gotta say, it sucks a lot more for you guys than it does for us white people, because you're associated with it.
Yeah.
Right? There are a lot of whites that just put you all together. And it has slowed down the healing of this country. But seriously, 40 years ago, racism should have been over. Unfortunately, the Democratic Party has continued to fan the flames of racism to make money and to get votes.
This is why people talk about the 90s these days. This is why there's so much nostalgia for the 1990s. And a lot of people are talking about how race relations were really at a peak in the 1990s, and then things changed. And things changed a lot, too, after the Tea Party and Occupy Wall Street rallies, which I would say is probably at this point, maybe even including the Trump movement, MAGA movement, probably the biggest threat that the establishment ever really felt was from the Tea Parties and Occupy Wall Street before everything got racialized again. There were sort of these inflection points, which I would say race relations were probably getting much better right up until around Rodney King. You know what it was? Probably O.J. Simpson. Because we're talking about a cold-blooded murder, and it's easy to look back on the time and kind of laugh, and there's a lot of hilarious things, and everybody loved Norm Macdonald on Saturday Night Live and his jokes about it, but O.J. Simpson and Rodney King, I think, turned the tide in this country that was trending towards a more racially harmonious system. And I do blame part of this on a media conspiracy that has been ginned up by elite leftists, Marxists, people like George Soros and others who fund many of these institutions, Act Blue, the Human Rights Foundation, is it HRF? What's the one with the double yellow sign that, and the SEIU and the labor unions who have all like worked hard to implement these things and labor workplace requirements, equal opportunities and shit. A lot of this, it is a massive conspiracy against the white majority in this country. For the racial animus is to serve a purpose, because if the Tea Party and Occupy Wall Street united, which I would argue that MAGA, the Trump movement, in many ways sort of mimics or attempts to mimic that sort of outsider coalition that is to overthrow the establishment and looks at certain power structures in the United States and rightly calls them out as unjust or unfair. Institutions that aren't necessarily brick and mortar institutions, but non-physical institutions which are instruments of oppression over the people. I would argue that the problem is that once we get people into power, even in our outsider coalition, we can see with the lack of adherency to Doge cuts. I mean, what am I reading this morning? Elon Musk is even disappointed with the inability for Congress to codify the Doge cuts, which Donald Trump ran on. This is literally what we voted for. Elon Musk criticized Trump's big, beautiful bill as undoing the work Doge has attempted to do. He said, "I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decreases it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing. I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both." Thank you. Elon doesn't give a shit. And I'm here for it. And I'm grateful for Elon Musk. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Don't pretend as if what you're doing and what our congressmen are doing is all right or it's okay. And for those who are standing up like Rep. Warren Davidson and Thomas Massey and Senator Ron Johnson and Rand Paul, I give you my respect. I give my respect to Judge Napolitano, who's going to join us live in less than 5. We did not unlock the bonus content yet, guys, but don't freak out. Don't panic. There's still time. Head over to forlibertyshop.com during the commercial break, and when we get back, then we'll have the judge. And then, hopefully, you'll have unlocked the bonus content, and then we can watch that after the judge. Then we'll finish our discussion about black fatigue in this country. It's going to be an awesome show. Do not miss a single stinking second. Go shopping. We'll be right back. It's the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. When the Founding Fathers dreamed of liberty, they forgot one thing: coffee. Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America, and the brew that's fueling a new revolution, one kitchen at a time. Small batch roasted, Patriot approved, and disappearing faster than a red coat at Yorktown. Don't get left behind, soldier. Real patriots are starting their mornings with Founding Flavors. And trust us, freedom tastes better with a fresh cup in your hand. Stop drinking those tyrant brews who take your money and don't support your values. Stocks are limited, demand is booming, and your morning deserves a taste of liberty. Order now at forlibertyshop.com before the next shipment gets signed, sealed, and sold out. Founding Flavors Coffee, the official brew of morning rebellions everywhere. Get yours at forlibertyshop.com.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian, and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist. Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins.
Welcome back to the Wake Up America Show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Click the like button if you haven't already. If today's the first time that you've watched the Wake Up America Show and you're enjoying the content, then do click the follow button over on Rumble as well. We are a Rumble first show, which means that Rumble is our community, Locals is our community, and everywhere else is just imitation, because Rumble's been good to us. They've never censored us. They've never suppressed my point of view. As a matter of fact, they're the only social media outlet that has reached out to me directly to support the Wake Up America Show. So let's support them back by being a big fan of Rumble and clicking the like buttons, the follow buttons, interacting by dropping comments in the chat. and being a regular guest viewer right here at rumble.com/AP for Liberty. Is Donald Trump trying to kill Harvard? Even if Harvard survives the spate of attacks by Donald Trump, will they be able to survive the Civil Rights Act if it's equally applied, not just to the benefit certain minorities in this country, but to benefit the majority as well? I'm talking about what they call reverse discrimination. It's really just discrimination at all. And when Harvard students are discriminating and creating a hostile environment for Jewish students on their campus, can't we just say maybe the civil rights should either be applied or maybe it should be abolished altogether? Joining us now for a discussion on that, he's not afraid to have conversations like that. He's the host of Judging Freedom, a millions a week viewed podcast. Must watch podcasting, I guess they'll say. Judge Andrew Napolitano joining us live now for his regular Wednesday at 8 a.m. spot. He's also on Newsmax, and he writes a weekly column. He's so prolific. Read his books. And thank you, Judge, for joining us now.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Austin. Good morning. Excuse me.
Judge, talk to us about Trump's war on Harvard. I was reading someone from the Foundation of Individual Rights in Education yesterday, and they disagreed with the way that Trump was waging war against the institutions which he sees as his enemy, specifically Harvard. But it was the person from FIRE, right? The big free speech organization, as I'm sure you're aware. They said that Harvard, if they actually have the right legal attacks made against them from a civil rights perspective, he doesn't see them as being able to survive the legitimate lawful attacks on them. Would you agree with that sort of analysis? Break this down for us and where we're at with Trump's war on this institution.
Well, Trump is trying to rescind contracts that have been entered into between Harvard and individual employees and vendors of Harvard and the federal government. And the Constitution prohibits the federal government from interfering with a contract validly entered into, even if the federal government is itself a party to the contract. So of the $3 billion in aid that Harvard gets, and I must preface this by saying that there is no provision in the Constitution for any aid to education, and all of it is unconstitutional, but the feds give away much money, whether constitutional or not, and most of what they do is unconstitutional. Another story for another time. However, this money doesn't go ultimately to Harvard as an institution. It goes to the researchers and professors who apply for grants, qualify for them, and receive them. And the people who are receiving this money are often not the administrators making the rules for the governance of the university about which Trump complains. Rather, they're often a lab somewhere being paid their Harvard salary, supplemented by money from the federal government because they have qualified for the financial assistance. So it is a contract between Dr. Jones and the Department of Education, not between Harvard University and the Department of Education, that Trump is complaining about. Now, it is true that the funds go through Harvard. So Dr. Jones's money, in my hypothetical, comes from Harvard University, but money is fungible because that money has come from the federal government. What Trump is trying to do is to condition those funds upon the behavior and assertions of Harvard, or curtailing the behavior and assertions of Harvard with which he disagrees. So he's taking the Benjamin Netanyahu view that if you say free Palestine in Harvard Square, you're effectively saying destroy Israel, and that is offensive speech and is not protected. Well, that's wrong under the law. First of all, there is no moral equivalence between saying free Palestine and destroy Israel. Secondly, hate speech is a protected speech. So Trump, in order to satisfy the donor class in the United States, is curtailing financial funds to universities unless they suppress speech that his members of the donor class hate and fear. It is profoundly unconstitutional to condition the receipt of funds, and again, these funds are unconstitutional to begin with, but it is profoundly unconstitutional to condition the receipt of funds on the non-assertion of a fundamental liberty. It was stated differently, the feds can't take away or interfere with a contract you have with them because they don't like how you used your free speech. The free speech of which Trump is complaining is the failure of Harvard to curtail speech that Trump's benefactors and friends hate and fear, like this phrase, Free Palestine. The phrase Free Palestine, like the phrase there are only two genders, is absolutely protected speech, even though it offends. As a footnote, Austin, what the hell is the value of free speech if it doesn't offend? It should offend. It should wake up people from their slumber. But that's where we are today. Because this is so complex as to whether or not the people who receive the funds at Harvard are involved in making decisions for student discipline at Harvard, the general answer is no, but there may be some exceptions to that. A federal judge enjoined Trump from rescinding any funds until after the judge can sort out who's doing what and who's accused of what. Well, this is another example of Trump really exercising presidential power in a novel and virgin area. We'll see where it ends up.
Yeah, I agree with you on all these free speech issues, Judge. But I think that, there's also something going on underneath the surface in all of this. It's sort of what you might call a proxy war from not just Donald Trump, who may be sort of unaware or maybe even being puppeteered into this fight to some extent. But it appears to me on the surface that the battle over protecting the liberties of Jewish students on Harvard is the front for the real fight that's going on, which is the cultural battle from the new right, we might call them, right? The Josh Hawley right, the Chris Rufo right, the sort of the what we might call post-liberal right. I'm not sure if you've been hearing this term being tossed around in your circles, but certainly a lot of people on the right are calling it the post-liberal right, meaning the more authoritarian right-wingers, they call themselves now more the Pat Buchanan wing of the party, the populist paleos, for example. But this is a proxy war for them. The question of the Jewish students being attacked on campus and the free speech, the hate speech is one angle, but that is I think secondary to their actual cultural goals, which is a war on the leftist elites, of whom Harvard really is the avatar for in this country. The enemy of everything that someone like J.D. Vance or a Pat Buchanan or any right-wing conservative stands for. The Jewish thing is just an excuse for them to attack their enemy, is it not?
I generally agree with that, but they're using the power of the federal government in ways that are outside the Constitution. I mean, if Vice President Vance wants to express an opinion as a human being, of course he can do so. He has the same free speech rights as everybody else, and that goes for Donald Trump. But if either of them use the levers of power outside the Constitution, they need to be called out for that. I mean, Trump and Vance want Harvard to suspend students who say Free Palestine. Now, that statement is absolutely protected speech, no matter who is offended by it. When Benjamin Netanyahu spoke before and I think he's a monster engaged in genocide. I think he's one of the worst war criminals in the post-World War II era. Of course, I also think that Harry Truman was a war criminal by dropping the atomic bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. You know that, but I just want your viewers to know, or your listeners to know, where I stand. When Netanyahu appeared before Congress and was interrupted with standing ovations 58 times in a 56-minute speech, the longest standing ovation was when he condemned demonstrators outside the Capitol building, many of whom were friends of mine, for speaking out against genocide and in favor of a free Palestine. And the Republicans, whatever they call themselves, paleo, neo, liberal, conservative, traditionalist, whatever, stood up and applauded for that. It was one of the most, this is where every president has stood since Thomas Jefferson. It is reprehensible that they would applaud the condemnation of free speech. They took an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution, which still includes the First Amendment. So my beef with what Trump is doing is it interferes with speech. It constitutes the government evaluating the content of speech, which the government cannot do. Again, we're not talking about a bullhorn at 3 a.m. We're talking about speech in a public square that some people find offensive. Too bad. The First Amendment was written to protect offensive speech.
I agree with you completely, Judge, on the legal question. But Vance and his ilk, the post-liberal right, they don't care. They don't care about the law at all. It's not even a topic of discussion for them. As a matter of fact, one of the bigger arguments that people are having now on the right is this question of, what's the point of winning elections and having power if you don't use it? And this is what really separates, the libertarians from the post-liberal right. The question of a what we call a limiting principle, right? To an extent, what you're articulating is, I won't say conservatism really, but it's right-wing libertarianism that has limiting principles. And so now the big, the podcasts that are being done with, people like J.D. Vance and Vivek Ramaswamy and many other these MAGA types, is that you may be right about the free speech question, and I agree with you on that, Judge, but the trend is towards this use of power if you have it, and of course it falls prey to the ring of power, that once they have it, they think that they can control it, but they can't. It just brings chaos and destruction, because everybody thinks that they can wield the ring of power if they, that they won't be prone to the same flaws and foibles that all humans are subject to. You're absolutely
this is why we have an independent judiciary to restrain the executive branch when it breaks I'll use Jefferson's phrase, chains of the Constitution. And the same goes for Congress when it acts outside the Constitution. In my opinion, the courts do a terrible job of restraining the executive and the legislative branch. In my opinion, the Constitution has been a dismal failure as an instrument of restraint. And the people you are talking about are prime examples of that. They actually want to make it worse. Yesterday, Trump signed an executive order directing local governments, local boards of education in California to prohibit transgendered males, a male who becomes a female, from competing with biological females. Now, I think this competition is reprehensible, but it is not a federal issue. He has no authority under the Constitution. But the people you're talking about, Vance and Hawley and Tom Cotton and that crowd, they applaud it. They don't give a damn about the Constitution. I don't even know if they've read it, even though many of them are lawyers.
Judge, this is a fascinating discussion, and thank you for having it with us, Judge. And there are very few people that I could have these types of conversations with. I'm not sure if you ever read Murray Rothbard's book, Betrayal of the American Right. It was one of his more obscure books. It was an interesting little tome because it was more of a personal kind of, not autobiographical, but more of a story of his activism in life and career in the backdrop of the presidential elections that went on, and sort of how Rothbard evolved in his thinking over the years. I mean, Rothbard marched with communists, Maoists in the street. He also took up, didn't he start like Libertarians for Strom Thurmond group? I'm not sure if you knew that, but
yeah, well, you know, we all change, Austin. I used to wear a T-shirt that said "Bomb Hanoi," and I condemn that behavior now. And the Roth.
Oh no! Did we lose him? Ah, dang! There he is. Are you there, Judge?
Yes.
You dropped out, but it stopped after you had said you changed your mind over the years, and you said that you used to wear the Bomb Hanoi shirt. Please continue from there.
Well, we all change. We all learn. I mean, Aquinas compared this to peeling an onion. You know, you just peel layers off, and you view things differently. I condemn the former behavior in which I engaged, wearing a T-shirt that said "Bomb Hanoi," just as Rothbard condemned his former behavior, marching with socialists and communists. The Rothbard that I love, this is what I said when the sound went off, is the Rothbard who argued that the last moral war Americans fought took place between 1775 and 1783.
Hey, I've read that too. And Judge, what was fascinating though about Rothbard was that when he marched with the Maoists, when he supported Strom Thurmond, he was doing it from a sort of accelerationist libertarian viewpoint. In other words, he wanted to destroy the system any way he thought possible. So he supported, movements that were antithetical to libertarianism. For example, as a matter of fact, towards the end in the 1990s, he was a big fan of Pat Buchanan. He was a big fan of Pat Buchanan, largely because of the war question and Pat Buchanan's skepticism towards Israel, and then which is fascinating because now the Pat Buchananites, the paleo conservatives, if Rothbard had lived, do you think that Rothbard would be enamored by Trump? And with the renewal of, despite the fact that the tariffs, are causing chaos in global markets and the downsides, do you think that Rothbard would have liked Donald Trump? Because I kind of feel like he would have, even if he didn't see him as a perfect libertarian, because Rothbard sort of thrived on chaos.
Well, Rothbard believed that government is the negation of liberty. I can't imagine him siding with an authoritarian like Donald Trump, although every once in a while our wonderful friend who is the modern day Rothbard, Ron Paul, sides with what Trump does and says. I mean, for the most part, Trump is a paradigm of the failure to recognize the restraints on the executive branch. Virtually every one of the executive orders that he has signed is unconstitutional because it purports to undo what Congress has created. The telling a local school board in California what to do is just an example of an absurd, naive, authoritarian view of the American presidency.
I guess
Rothbard's American president wouldn't have any of the pomp and power that the president has today. Rothbard was of the view, and most historians agree with this, that when the president was made commander-in-chief of the military, that meant only during wartime, not at all times, lest the president use the military to suppress liberty. So it's hard to predict, how a person now deceased would react in the present modern era, but I like to think that his skepticism of government and condemnation of what the courts have allowed the president and the Congress to get away with would have manifested themselves rather than been suppressed.
Yeah, it's hard to say because, for example, Walter Block was he started a group, Libertarians for Trump. So, yeah, you're right. It is hard, of course, to say where somebody who passed away would have done it. But I would have thought, in terms of the Constitution and Trump not following the Constitution, I would have thought that an anarchist, of course, by definition, doesn't care what the Constitution says because, as Lysander Spooner had said, it's a constitution of no authority and has no right to exist. And so I guess from the sense of what actual practical goals is Donald Trump achieving, probably Murray Rothbard would agree with many of them the same way that Walter Block does, right? That's sort of that contrarianism that exists within our anarcho-capitalist school, does find itself defending some of them, even dictators, for example. You will find that in the libertarian tradition. As a matter of fact, Hans Hermann Hoppe's Democracy, the God That Failed, right, sort of specifically calls for an enlightened, benevolent monarch. You reject that because you, despite your sort of anarcho-capitalist leanings, Judge, you kind of fall more on the constitutional. I mean, it's not statist, but I mean, it's rather more minarchist to have a constitutionalist view than like that of like Spooner or Rothbard, right?
Well, that's a very long question. I only have about 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Judge.
That's all right. It's brilliant. I happen to think that Democracy, the God That Failed is one of the greatest books ever written in the English language, along with G.K. Chesterton's Orthodoxy and Murray Rothbard's The Ethics of Freedom and F.A. Hayek's The Road to Serfdom. Everybody should read those. I don't agree with everything in all of them, but they do crystallize the dangers of government. Hoppe argues that a benevolent monarch would be safer for personal liberty than a popularly elected government always seeking to stay in power by taking from A and giving to B so that he can get the vote and support of B. I mean, that's basically his theory. My problem is very few people today, Thomas Massey, and maybe one of them, maybe the only one, who understand the Constitution as it was drafted by Madison and are willing to comply with it.
Oh, that is a fascinating insight, Judge. I wish that I could pick your brain about this more, but this is why you have to come join us every Wednesday at 8 a.m. because nobody else is going to list off Murray Rothbard's books and Friedrich Hayek's books and have an intense discussion about those. Judge, do you have time to give us a quick sneak preview of who you have coming up on Judging Freedom today?
I have the great Colonel Douglas McGregor, who should be the Secretary of State or the Secretary of Defense, but his outspokenness would impair his ability to be confirmed by the Senate at 11 o'clock. And I have Phil Giraldi, who's on with me every Wednesday. That's the CIA agent who told George W. Bush that Saddam Hussein did not have weapons of mass destruction, and Bush threw him out of the Oval Office, went and lied to the American public, waged an illegal, immoral war, and Giraldi resigned his job at the CIA. Anyway, Colonel McGregor's on with me at 11, and Giraldi is on with me at 3. These are Eastern times.
Download Judging Freedom on any of your mobile devices and come back and join us every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Central Time to hear Big Brain Time with Judge Andrew Napolitano on the Wake Up America show. Thank you, Judge. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Austin. Back at you.
Hear about the woman who burned down the abortion clinic in Wyoming a couple of months ago? Woman, she burned down the only abortion clinic in Wyoming. It was 2 weeks away from opening, burns it to the ground. So she's being charged with a bunch of federal hate crimes because it was an abortion clinic. But her conservative lawyers are arguing that no, she burned down a construction site. It wasn't an abortion clinic yet. But then the liberal lawyers are arguing that no, it was an abortion clinic. It became an abortion clinic the second they started building it, which means you've got conservatives arguing that a thing isn't a thing until it's totally done, and liberals arguing that clinics begin at construction, and I feel like I'm losing my fucking mind.
Support the Wake Up America show. Unlock the bonus content. We're at $45 raised today for the Wake Up America show. If you're enjoying it, if you heard that conversation with the judge and we're like, damn, that was good conversation, and you knew that you weren't going to hear that conversation anywhere else today, at that level of meta philosophy and law, then drop some Rumble rants. Support the Wake Up America show financially. You can do so by either making a direct donation at rumble.com/AP for Liberty. You can click the like button and follow, and it's totally free, and you're guaranteed to love it and get satisfaction from that. But I also have a personal guarantee that the items that you buy from the forlibertyshop.com will be right, and you will love them, and so will the person that you buy them for if you're buying a gift for your family members this summer. It's the summer of freedom, baby, and only forlibertyshop.com has so many of our lovely items. Here's what I'm recommending that all of the men do that are out there. Ladies, obviously, women be shopping, totally fine. But if you're like me and you're a guy and you want to have, what I do is I sock away presents. If I find little nice, neat things so that if I forget later, I've always got a present. It's always good to have like the little side presents, you know what I mean? Like maybe you get her a nice big gift, you know, a nice big vacuum cleaner, right? Or maybe a new dishwasher, you know, to help her with the chores. But after you give her a beautiful Samsung washer, which you can't buy from me, maybe that's the business I should be in. If you go to forlibertyshop.com, if you type in earrings, you will find the most unique earrings for the right-wing woman in your life. And maybe she doesn't even have to be right-wing, because what lady just wouldn't love a pair of ice cream earrings? But if she's a lady of liberty, what about the Constitution earrings? Camellia loves those. Oh my God, that price is too low. I'm raising the price on that. If you want those earrings, the We the People Constitution earrings, Brad, if you're watching this in the chat, you need to get over to forlibertyshop.com's back end, and you need to raise the price of the We the People earrings right now. And if you want to get them at that, I will sell those to you at that price, and that is breaking even. I will sell those We the People earrings. If you get to the shop in time, if you beat Brad to the back end and raise that price, you can have those We the People earrings for $14.50. That's what I pay for them. Okay, so if you want those We the People earrings at that price, you got like 30 seconds, dude. Go to forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4, libertyshop.com. Brad, it's a race. Get your butt over there. Raise those price to the other price for the rest of those earrings. It's a race. But unlock the bonus content. Guys, it's a perfect gift. It's a perfect gift. First of all, you're not going to find these anywhere else. Look at the Don't Tread on Me snake earrings. We sell these like crazy. The Don't Tread on Me snake earrings. You're not going to find them anywhere else. And that's a great price. It includes delivery. Rosie, the Riveter earrings, apron earrings, very cute. Bomb Pop popsicle earrings. So lovely that we had to buy like 3 pair for ourselves. I bought like a pair for Steffi, a pair for me. A pair for Steffi, and then we did like a gift giveaway, which, speaking of, I have a giveaway to do for you guys. We'll do it this Friday for those who are the monthly subs. Don't let me forget. But go to forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4, libertyshop.com, and get a pair of Betsy Ross shoes. Amy got hers yesterday. They came in the mail, but she's not in town, so she can't get them right away, but she's so excited. If you type in Betsy Ross over at forlibertyshop.com, we have a surprising number of Betsy Ross items because people be loving them some Betsy Ross. We've got black soled, white soled. I like both. But the Betsy Ross flag men's high top sneakers and women's available. Those are 5 stars. We've got Tiny Patriots Betsy Ross gear. We have a Betsy Ross flag Blackwater outdoor Bluetooth speaker. Honestly, that's pretty friggin' awesome. And if you're going to have parties outdoors this year, $34.99 delivered to your house with the Betsy Ross flag, says 1776 on it. You are crazy if you don't go to forlibertyshop.com right now, because you'll miss the opportunity to unlock the bonus content. Let's do it, guys. Let's unlock that bonus content in either Rumble Rants or purchases at forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4, libertyshop.com.
Thankful that a lot of you are waking up to this. And again, I can't stress this enough. This isn't a black thing. This is a behavior thing. Some of my closer friends are black, and I love and appreciate them. And I'm very thankful that they have not allowed the crappy behavior out of some to drag them down.
Now, in case you're black and you are already in the comment section denying this phenomenon, or you are looking for the latest insults to give to me, or you are genuinely unaware of what black fatigue is all about, well, pause, okay? Let me show you what people are actually tired about.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. You didn't let me get my moment, so I want to say my name is Khadija Diallo, and I'm graduating today. I don't like how you snatched the mic out of my hand, so today is going Oh, drops the mic. Congratulations!
I'm here 30 minutes before the flight.
Can you please leave, sir?
No.
Can you please leave my personal
No.
space?
I'm decided that you ain't gonna let me check in.
Make me check you in. Make
You
me
literally
check you in.
work for a
Make
company
me
that I
check you
bought
in.
a
Make
plane
me check
ticket
you in.
for. Check in.
And you're not getting on your flight. It's the Mayday flight. You did. And you think you're gonna check me in? I bet you we won't. Okay?
I paid for a ticket.
And you
Yeah, I paid for a
$25 for
ticket.
agent assist and you checked in 3 hours later. Hello.
I just
And
said
you
that
thought you
I-
was gonna get on your flight.
Yeah, I
And
just
you thought
said
you was
that
gonna
I
get on your
would
flight.
pay the
And you thought you was gonna get on your flight. And you thought you was gonna get on your flight. And you thought you was gonna get on your flight. And you thought you was gonna get on your flight.
I literally paid for a ticket. I'm here 30 minutes. I'm here 30 minutes before my flight, and they're not letting me check.
We don't control that. And you will never fly
You were
on
about to
Frontier.
let me check in.
They did get fired, by
You
the
were
way.
about not your personal space.
We ain't gotta worry about it.
That is a fryer full of French fries.
Bro, I just want my food. Fuck, bring the knife and shit.
This is unacceptable. What do you do in this situation? I see the minivan. The family's trying to get the hell out of there. Well, you missed some of the cursing there.
Now, there are some clips I want to include here, but I just can't because I don't want to give this platform more reason to censor my channel or censor this video. I'm sorry for the too much air. It is very windy today. You know those violent scenes where you have a white kid who might be in class or just walking in the street or just standing anywhere minding their business, and then this other black kid comes along and starts attacking the white kid for no good reason. Those kind of videos, okay? There are plenty, okay? There are plenty, but I'm not gonna show them here. Now, that is the black fatigue that everyone is complaining about.
That is the black fatigue that everyone is complaining about. Thank you, Modi. That YouTuber's name is Modi Speaks, M-O-D-Y. Great follow. If you are not hearing conversations about black fatigue, don't worry, you will. This conversation is blowing up all over the internet, and soon it will reach the legacy media. If you hear my voice, you're listening to the alternative media. Therefore, you are informed before everyone else is. If you're keyed up, if you're tuned in enough to go to rumble.com/AP4Liberty, then you're probably a little bit more enlightened. You just are. But with the number of hurdles that you had to go through to download an app, install it on your phone, go to know what Rumble is, have heard of it, have heard of me and my show, talking about obscure. You are likely going to, at least by today, and I saw Nelson message me earlier that now his feed is starting to fill up with this. You will start to see it on your friends who are not as enlightened, or your family members who are not as enlightened as you. You will start to hear these conversations from them because it's going to start touching the legacy news feeds soon. It is a new definition of black fatigue that is being used, contrary to the original definition of black fatigue, which is that black people are tired of years of racism. Now, the new definition, which is, of course, already being termed racist, despite the fact that most of the people that I'm seeing in my feed that are talking about it are black people who are fed up. They've had it with being made to look bad because of certain ghetto behaviors of their community, which are antisocial and should not be tolerated.
Black fatigue is a thing. Newsflash. White people don't want to live around ratchet black people. And black people don't want to live around ratchet black people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing like going to the Walmart on a Sunday morning and then you see the Bonnet crew walk in. Loud, obnoxious, the kids are everywhere, in every aisle, unattended. And that's anywhere you go, no matter what. They're highly emotional, highly sensitive. You can't say nothing. You can't even smile and hold the door for them because they'll look at you like you're crazy. And always the victim of something. Either you stepped on a shoe, you looked at them wrong, you told them good morning. They're never happy, they're never satisfied. And you wonder why normal, good black people move out of the hood as soon as they start getting successful. I was one of those black people that said, man, if I made some money, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna buy up this, buy up that. I'm gonna support the community. As soon as I got my money, I got the fuck up out of there. Because they don't know how to appreciate good shit. And my suburban kids don't need to be dealing with that bullshit. Crab in a barrel mentality. Never take accountability for nothing.
Damn.
So yeah, black fatigue is a thing. And I'll tell you, a lot of people are fucking tired. They're tired of dealing with these kind of people on a daily basis. I mean, I get anxiety when I walk inside of a mall nowadays. I mean, because you got these YNs running around and they don't respect nothing. So I don't care what anybody says. White America is tired of you, and we are too.
White people are tired of being called racist. It is exhausting. The white people are tired of racism, period. They don't care anymore. They are done. They have been told that they are racist so many times that some of them have become exactly what you accuse them of being. That is what happens when you continue to poke people when they are just trying to live their life just like you. People don't choose their skin color or racial identity before they are born. They should be judged based on their current action and not what their ancestors did. It is just not the white man that is tired. Africans are tired. Latinas are tired. Native Americans are tired. Half blacks are tired. Even black people are tired. Everybody is tired of the ghetto, loud, ratchet, and mean black Americans. We are all tired.
Well, let's talk. This is the first time I'm hearing this phrase on TikTok, but I could use context clues and understand what it is. So, funny story, I'm scrolling on TikTok, minding my own business, just getting lost in the videos.
Note that the progenitors of this content, the creators of this content, black people. This is why this is becoming such a huge trend. Are white people talking about it? Yeah, but you better have an Irish accent or say arse and feckin' to be able to be seen as not racist.
And a white woman pops up in my algorithm and it's titled Black Fatigue. And I'm like, this should be interesting. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a creator that I've really grown to respect their videos. Basically, in her video, she's calling out the black community for different ignorant things that we do. And it's not just her. I've seen a lot of white people on this app kind of come out. It's almost like, raise your hand if you've been personally victimized by Regina George type of videos. and that's what they're doing toward black people. Here's the thing.
That's like you guys in the chat right now. Raise your hand if you've been personally victimized by AP for Liberty. LW78 says, this conversation is so funny because I've known this for ages, but only now people are talking about it. You know why? Because people were afraid. People were afraid. We probably wouldn't be having this conversation if Donald Trump weren't the president, to be quite honest. We probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Thank you to Andy Opperman, getting himself a beautiful pair of earrings this morning. I also wear earrings, Andy. I know you'll love those. And it looks like that means bonus content unlocked, guys. Well, since it's 8:40, we want to play it before we go. So enjoy the bonus content, guys. We'll be right back. Thank you to Andy Opperman. Thank you to everybody who made a purchase. Joel Ledamore this morning. He went to forlibertyshop.com. Women be shopping, men be shopping, men be shopping for their ladies. Get yourself a pair of patriotic earrings. Go to forlibertyshop.com. Type in earrings. Grab yourself a pair as well. We'll be right back. It's the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network.
They told us more guns meant more crime. They warned that if average Americans armed themselves, the streets would run red. The media trotted out every expert they could find, every scary statistic, every tearful press conference to drive the point home. Well, turns out they were dead wrong. 2025 is on track to shatter records, not for violence, but for peace. We may be witnessing the lowest murder rate ever recorded in American history. And here's the kicker. It happened while millions of citizens were buying firearms, states were expanding carry rights, and the corporate press was busy fear-mongering about the rise of extremism. You'd think that would be headline news, right? A country arming itself and becoming safer? That flips the entire narrative. But of course, it's not being shouted from the rooftops, because it doesn't fit the script, and it certainly doesn't justify expanding government power. But the data doesn't lie. The FBI, the Bureau of Justice Statistics, independent researchers, and crime trackers, they're all reporting the same thing: a serious, consistent drop in homicides compared to the chaos of 2020 and 2021. That spike, you might remember, came during pandemic lockdowns, the defund the police movement, and the riots that swept through American cities like wildfire. Back then, criminals saw opportunity, law enforcement pulled back, politicians played politics, and honest people were left to fend for themselves. So what did they do? They armed up. First-time gun buyers hit record highs. Women, minorities, new concealed carry permit holders. They weren't waiting around for help that wasn't coming. And now in 2025, we're seeing the long-term effects of that shift. People stopped trusting broken institutions and started relying on themselves. And guess what? That's working. Cities like New York and Los Angeles, after years of spiraling out of control, are finally starting to claw their way back. Police departments are being rebuilt. Prosecutors are finally charging criminals again. But want to guess where the crime stats aren't improving? Chicago, Baltimore, Philadelphia, all the usual suspects. These cities have two things in common: strict gun control laws and a persistent, naive belief that bureaucrats can solve deep-rooted cultural collapse with slogans and more spending. Spoiler alert, they can't. Meanwhile, states that chose a different path, Florida, Texas, Missouri, are showing the world what happens when you trust your citizens, when you respect the Constitution, when you stop criminalizing self-defense. See, the gun control lobby won't admit this, but it's true. Crime drops when good people are allowed to take responsibility for their own safety. Not when you flood neighborhoods with more social workers. Now, some critics will say this is just a fluke, that we're cherry-picking, that there's no real connection between armed citizens and lower murder rates. But let me ask, if the reverse had happened, if violence had spiked after record gun sales, do you think they'd call that a coincidence? Not a chance. They'd be on every front page, every talk show, every billboard screaming, "We told you so." But when the opposite happens, when the country gets safer, they go silent. This matters. Because for decades, Americans were told the same tired lie: more guns mean more bloodshed. And yet here we are, in the most armed society in human history, and we're seeing less violent crime, not more. We should be celebrating that, not just because fewer people are dying, but because it proves something deeper, something more important than a single statistic. It proves that a free society can also be a safe one. That liberty doesn't require chaos, that personal responsibility beats central planning, and that the government isn't the only answer. Sometimes it's the problem. The murder rate isn't dropping because the federal government suddenly got smarter. It's not dropping because we created a new department of community healing and reconciliation. It's dropping because the American people adapted. Because families, neighborhoods, and yes, gun owners stepped up when institutions crumbled. That's the story here. When government fails, individuals rise, and that includes exercising the right to bear arms, not to intimidate, not to escalate, but to protect. So let's take this win. Let's learn from it. Let's keep building on it. The government's job isn't to babysit us. It's to protect our rights. And if it can't even do that, then the best thing it can do is get out of the way. If you're sick of watching bureaucrats take credit for your courage while blaming your freedoms for their failures, say it with your chest. Liberty works. And if you want to show the world where you stand, head over to forlibertyshop.com. We've got gear that doesn't just make a statement, it backs it up. See you next time.
Divert the blame and play the victim. Check this out.
Why is racism coming back? More buzzwords to justify it. The newest one is black fatigue. Before that, it was DEI. You understand there's never anything good enough for these races, right? Let's explain what black fatigue actually is. Black fatigue is actually a book on how racism erodes the mind, body, and spirit and explores systemic racism and its effect on black people. These racists aren't even smart enough to know the definitions of the words they're using, such as DEI. Why are we giving them any attention?
So actually, the first time I told you guys about black fatigue, I specifically informed you guys not to rely on the definition provided by that race grifting DEI consultant who wrote a book.
A grifting DEI consultant. That's how Marty describes her. Perfectly described. The one who wrote the book, Black Fatigue, which I would argue is likely a front to try and divert the conversation away from the common understanding of the phrase black fatigue, which is what Modi Speaks is talking about here. I hope I have enough time to play a little bit with from the interview that I have with that author. I over prepared for today's show. And well, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to discuss. If you're enjoying the show this morning, do click that like button and become a regular viewer of the Wake Up America show, Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. That is the schedule. Fridays are a special day. I bring my smoking hot, redheaded libertarian wifey on the show on Friday, and you guys will enjoy her as well. I hope that you will come back and join us on Friday.
Please make more videos.
White people who are appropriating the term black fatigue are doing so because their goal was to never see us happy in our blackness, be proud of our blackness, choose blackness over whiteness. Being is it that we make up such a small percentage of America, it's interesting to me how offended they are by maybe 1 out of 10 people, if they even know one of us.
You can always count on Republicans to take the definition of a word and twist it to fit their own agenda. They did the same thing with DEI, where they made diversity, equity, inclusion a bad thing, which is like insane to me, because every single person who isn't a white straight man benefits from DEI. Now they're doing it with black fatigue. Black fatigue refers to the emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by the daily stress of living under systemic racism and its consequences. So basically, the only people who really experience black fatigue are black people and the shit that we deal with. But now they're just tired of black people. So basically, you're racist. Like, hello? I'm tired of living in a society with black people. I am fatigued. And then I've seen like even some black people come on here and say they're tired of black people too. I'm like, bitch, are you good? Like, what is going on? It's getting weird. Yeah, and obviously these Republicans have always been good at doing this, always been good at changing the meaning of things and boosting it out to their following. And I just need people to like pay attention to what they're doing. Don't fall for the bullshit. I gotta say, the Republicans are playing a very nasty, dangerous game. They're getting all the people who follow them who do not have media literacy, who do not know the definitions of words.
That's you guys. You guys. He's talking about you. He's talking about you because I'm the Republican. You're the Republican. That you're the person that he's accusing me of manipulating. Remember, you're the stupid one that you don't know the meaning of words. Do you know what DEI stands for? If you do, drop it in the chat. What's the definition of DEI? Just give me the acronym for the D and the E and the I.
Creating these buzzwords and trigger words at this point to incite a response from their mob. I can think of an instance in history where this was also done.
So basically, you are racist.
Yeah, exactly. We're racist. That's what it is.
You see the double standards, okay?
Yeah, double
He
standards.
believes it is okay for black people to say that they are tired of white people. That's perfectly acceptable. That is normal. That's okay. But if a white person says that they are tired of black people, then that is racist.
Right.
Now, this is part of the black fatigue that reasonable people are experiencing every day in our society. Rules for thee and not for me. The ability to commit
who says didn't earn it in the chat? You guys. That is not what it stands for. You are racist. Okay, since I don't have much time, I only got like 5 to 6 minutes. God dang, this was a discussion where, and I think this was the author of the book. Watch her lie to our face about DEI.
Now to black fatigue, it has recently been turned into a feeling that some white and black people have who say they are damn tired of foolishness of some black people, the claims of racism from sunup to sundown, loud talking, fighting, and
the loud talking is some of the worst.
This goes on. Not my list now, keep that in mind. But some people are tired of the complaints and don't give a damn. Here's what one TikTok user had to say about it.
not racist, and I know y'all have been told this is racist, but it's not. It's not racist to call Black people out for their behavior and what they're doing to society at this moment. I'm glad people are noticing this because it's been so many years and it's finally catching up to y'all. I've been trying to tell y'all that white people are tired of y'all. I'm tired of y'all too, but everybody, the world is getting sick of y'all and y'all's. I'm so glad this day is here. I've been trying to get out there that you people need help. It's me, but me and other Black conservatives. We've been trying to warn society that this is what it's going to come to when y'all keep coddling Black people.
Coddling. I think she means
All
coddling.
righty. Are her feelings valid? Joining us to talk about it, Dr. Angela Jones, political analyst, Angela Box, activist, Eugene Howard, filmmaker Sean Welling, and conservative M. Williams. We want to thank you all for joining us here on The Factor. First of all, let's define what Black fatigue is supposed to be, Dr. Jones.
Black fatigue is supposed to be just possible. Basically, society is saying that they're tired of how Black people are blaming things that have happened to us historically in the past on what's happening today. And they are also now adding different things that they have seen in society to that behavior as well. As she said, like loud mouthing or maybe, using certain words or certain behaviors in public. So that's basically the definition in a short sense.
Do we get anywhere with that, with this conversation?
No, this absolutely.
Okay, good night,
is
folks.
I mean, the thing is, it's an absolutely pointless conversation. It's like, okay, so now what? Thank you for letting us know that there's a new fancy word of you saying that you're tired of Black people, and you put it on the internet, and now people are co-signing on it, including with the way the environment is already. But it's okay. You put a nice new name to it, and now you feel like it's okay to say, and it's not going to do anything for anybody to now pander this term around, to pass it on in the internet and put it in people's mouth and make people feel encouraged to say, I have Black fatigue. But when we're all tired, when I'm saying, we're all tired of something and somewhere, there's always something. So this is not actually going to help anyone psychologically, mentally, emotionally. It's only going to create more divisiveness, more anger, and more hate in society.
Don't trust.
And when we see a lot of people, especially Black people, joining that chorus, saying that I'm tired of Black people too, what will that do?
It's not going to do anything, because here's the thing, that Black person or the Black people that are on the internet saying that can go somewhere and they're going to be already stereotyped into the group that they're trying to separate themselves from just because they're Black. You actually have to be around people to see their behavior. You have to witness their behavior to actually understand who they are.
You don't believe that. You don't believe that. You're a racist, ma'am. You don't believe that. You don't believe in treating people like individuals, because her whole concept, again, of Black fatigue is that Blacks are tired of white people. They're tired of the racism. Everybody's a racist for disagreeing with them or thinking that their behavior is antisocial. And now that it should be called out, we're racist for calling out the antisocial behavior, the ghetto behavior, right? She thinks she's a double standard. She wants individualism. Like it's the Civil Rights Act for my enemies, and it's libertarianism for myself. It's liberalism and freedom for us. It's tyranny and authoritarianism in the state and the government and control and silencing and cancellation for you. That's how that's her modus operandi. That's how the left operates. Damn, the end of the show? No, guys.
No, God, please, no.
I just have to say, it's been a freaking awesome show today. Great show, great conversation. And that's why people like Dad Bod Baboon, Joey Matto, LDub78, Grizz Cheese, Amy J. Ease, Y.O. Wildman, Drew Van Runkle. That's why they come back. Entropy Nomad, Drew Van Runkle, and many of them are like monthly subs. They support the Wake Up America show financially. That's why they keep coming back, because the shows are awesome. 5 days a week. You start your morning, you're going to get entertained, you're going to get informed, you're going to hear great interviews, and next week we're going to be streaming in full HD, baby. 1920p. 1920 by 1080. I cannot wait. We've got fiber internet. It's like the line is sitting right outside the back of the house. They're going to drill a hole in the wall. There's a hole in the wall where the children see it all. Shame on you. Where the ding dong hanging down. Does anybody remember that one? No? All right, you probably got AP fatigue, so let me get you out of here. Next week, we're in full high definition when fiber internet is installed. No more slowdowns. No more. If there's a slowdown or a problem with the show, it's on somebody else's side of the internet, not mine, because we're going to have full speed fiber. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be high quality. Amy J. Eves, Joey Maddow, Drew Van Runkle, Dad Bod Baboon, Team Mill 22. They come back. They support the show. They hang out with us every morning because it's fun. It's funny. And despite the fact that we talk about racist things, we're not racists. And so we tend to not have like the toxicity that you will usually see in other chats and streams. It's what my content is for people who are tired of the poisonous content, the toxic content, the hate-filled content. We want to have discussions about things like that on the Wake Up America show and not just be surrounded by toxic people who are constantly trying to divide us and get us to hatred and the nastiness. You can have that everywhere else. Morning shows, a little bit happier, a little bit brighter. Might even be able to hang out with your kids, have, things like that. Might be an F-bomb that gets dropped every once in a while, but usually it's not by me. It's because I played a Joe Rogan clip. All right. So come back here tomorrow. It's Thirsty Thursday on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Exit through the grift shop. Buy a box of coffee. You know you're going to love it. No one who has bought a box of Founding Flavors has regretted it except for like one person. You'll have to go read the reviews to find out which one. So go to 4libertyshop.com. See you later. Bye, Joel. Bye, Decision Points. Bye, Wyoming Wild Man. Y'all come back now. You hear?
Told us more guns meant more crime. They warned that if average Americans armed themselves, the streets would run red. The media trotted out every expert they could find, every scary statistic, every tearful press conference to drive the point home. Well, turns out they were dead wrong. 2025 is on track to shatter records, not for violence, but for peace. We may be witnessing the lowest murder rate ever recorded in American history. And here's the kicker. It happened while millions of citizens were buying firearms, states were expanding carry rights, and the corporate press was busy fear-mongering about the rise of extremism. You'd think that would be headline news, right? A country arming itself and becoming safer? That flips the entire narrative. But of course, it's not being shouted from the rooftops, because it doesn't fit the script, and it certainly doesn't justify expanding government power. But the data doesn't lie. The FBI, the Bureau of Justice Statistics, independent researchers, and crime trackers, they're all reporting the same thing, a serious, consistent drop in homicides compared to the chaos of 2020 and 2021. That spike, you might remember, came during pandemic lockdowns, the defund the police movement, and the riots that swept through American cities like wildfire. Back then, criminals saw opportunity, law enforcement pulled back, politicians played politics, and honest people were left to fend for themselves. So what did they do? They armed up. First-time gun buyers hit record highs. Women, minorities, new concealed carry permit holders. They weren't waiting around for help that wasn't coming. And now in 2025, we're seeing the long-term effects of that shift. People stopped trusting broken institutions and started relying on themselves. And guess what? That's working. Cities like New York and Los Angeles, after years of spiraling out of control, are finally starting to claw their way back. Police departments are being rebuilt. Prosecutors are finally charging criminals again. But want to guess where the crime stats aren't improving? Chicago, Baltimore, Philadelphia, all the usual suspects. These cities have two things in common: strict gun control laws and a persistent, naive belief that bureaucrats can solve deep-rooted cultural collapse with slogans and more spending. Spoiler alert, they can't. Meanwhile, states that chose a different path, Florida, Texas, Missouri, are showing the world what happens when you trust your citizens, when you respect the Constitution, when you stop criminalizing self-defense. See, the gun control lobby won't admit this, but it's true. Crime drops when good people are allowed to take responsibility for their own safety. Not when you flood neighborhoods with more social workers. Now, some critics will say this is just a fluke, that we're cherry picking, that there's no real connection between armed citizens and lower murder rates. But let me ask, if the reverse had happened, if violence had spiked after record gun sales, do you think they'd call that a coincidence? Not a chance. They'd be on every front page, every talk show, every billboard screaming, "We told you so." But when the opposite happens, when the country gets safer, they go silent. This matters. Because for decades, Americans were told the same tired lie: more guns mean more bloodshed. And yet here we are, in the most armed society in human history, and we're seeing less violent crime, not more. We should be celebrating that, not just because fewer people are dying, but because it proves something deeper, something more important than a single statistic. It proves that a free society can also be a safe one. That liberty doesn't require chaos, that personal responsibility beats central planning, and that the government isn't the only answer. Sometimes it's the problem. The murder rate isn't dropping because the federal government suddenly got smarter. It's not dropping because we created a new department of community healing and reconciliation. It's dropping because the American people adapted. Because families, neighborhoods, and yes, gun owners stepped up when institutions crumbled. That's the story here. When government fails, individuals rise, and that includes exercising the right to bear arms. Not to intimidate, not to escalate, but to protect. So let's take this win. Let's learn from it. Let's keep building on it. The government's job isn't to babysit us. It's to protect our rights. And if it can't even do that, then the best thing it can do is get out of the way. If you're sick of watching bureaucrats take credit for your courage while blaming your freedoms for their failures, say it with your chest: liberty works. And if you want to show the world where you stand, head over to forlibertyshop.com. We've got gear that doesn't just make a statement, it backs it up. See you next time.